Hello, 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 and welcome back to my new podcast setup. I am so excited to be sharing with you all my lovely new podcast background. If you're not watching the video, my cat has also decided to join us, as lovely as he is. This is Comet. If you're not familiar with him, I'm going to go ahead and describe his little silly booty away. He is a black and white furry AF cat. He is a silly boy, and I've had him practically since he was a kitten. He is almost 12 years old now, just a few months shy. So he will be aging like, as they say, fine wine. But this is my little boy, and you can see that I have a podcast mic. I am so excited to have this set up now, y'all. Behind me, I have my paintings. I have different birds that I love and posters that I have just fallen in love with. And this space truly has become one that feels comfortable enough to share what I am about to share. Now, I'm recording this at the start of June, which means that it is Pride Month. And in the past, as someone who was married, this month didn't necessarily mean as much to me as it does now. Things have changed a lot for me. I am no longer in that same marriage that I was in a few months ago, and I am in this exploratory, experimental phase of my life where I'm trying to figure out who I am, what it is that I want, what I'm trying to do, how I want to make a big impact in the world, in my life, with my followers, with my subscribers, with all of you people. And I think the biggest thing that I've come across is, doing that through the vehicle of authenticity. And I had to sit with myself over the past few weeks and ask myself, what am I hiding from my community that I feel is blocking me? Because at the end of the day, like, I come here to talk about birds, but I'm also coming here to talk to you all about things that I love, things that I'm passionate about. And if I left my identities at the door, I would be doing us a huge, huge disservice. In season 1 of this podcast, I recorded an episode that the whole entire episode was about neurodiversity without me actually saying what it is that I am neurodiverse from. And I think that that was a huge miss, but it's also a huge learning for me that I've had since that point of uploading that podcast episode. You all, it's one of my most watched podcast episodes. And I think it begs some more vulnerability from me. So that's what I came on here to do today, or that's what my hope is to do today. So that being said, and this being the start of our Pride Month, I want to share with you all that I am pansexual. And if you're not familiar with what pansexual is, what it is for me, I don't have an inclination towards a particular gender or sex. For me, I am very much attracted to the personality, to the excitement, to the passion, to the drive of someone else. And that doesn't necessarily limit me in like male or female. And so I think I might be also getting into demisexual territory, which I'm not as familiar with. Obviously, there's more exploration and there's more that I need to do to figure out who I am, because it's only been a year that I have been sort of not in a long-term relationship that lasted almost 10 years. It did last 10 years, over 10 years actually. And so this has kind of been a learning journey for me, but pansexuality has always been something that I identified with. And in addition to that, it is also something that a lot of people who are autistic are. So in my case, I am autistic, which means for me that my biggest struggles are often in the unknown communication. So if I have a script for something, it really, really, really helps me. But if I don't have a script, then I almost feel like a fish out of water. But then when there's too much scripting, then I don't know what to say and I reach decision fatigue. So all of this ties into other diagnoses that I have. And that's why it was so hard for me to get the diagnosis of autism. But once I did get it, my life was significantly changed. I had reasons for things that I didn't originally have reasons for. And I think that actually applies to for my pansexuality. I constantly struggled with what my interests were and feeling so boxed in and having to like one particular gender. And in addition to that, growing up in the church and knowing that I had to have an inclination towards one gender, which was male, I didn't necessarily do my best amongst my peers. Like, I tried to hide who I truly was. I tried to mask my autism as young as I was. I did it very, very, very well. So painfully well that I was able to switch schools year after year after year. And that switching schools allowed me to continue masking and continue kind of shape shifting my identity a little bit and making sure that I was protected in a lot of ways. It kept me safe to where now into my adulthood and moving to one of the largest cities in the United States, or I believe the largest city in the United States, I've really struggled in deciding and uncovering what it is that my identity is within all of these things. Because yes, I am autistic. Yes, I am pansexual. Yes, I am an ADHDer. Yes, I am all of these things, but I'm not just that. I'm not just limited to what it is that is about me on a paper, let's say. And so trying to create space for who I am genuinely amongst all of these labels, while also telling myself that it's okay to have them and not feel like I need to shutter one off just because the other one is too heavy. So for example, I've always told myself like, oh, telling someone that you're autistic, like that's enough. Like close the door there is kind of what I used to experience within my own system. I would tell myself like if I told someone that I was autistic, then I can't also tell them that I'm pansexual because like that's confusing, and how are they going to negotiate with their minds all of these different identities that I have. And also in addition to that, doesn't mean that I then lose control of my story because they are making assumptions about these identities within me. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be in control of how someone saw me and how someone felt around me. And so what I would do is just share as much as I knew that that person could handle. So I have people in my life that don't actually know that I'm pansexual, that don't know I'm queer, that don't know that I'm diagnosed autistic. They don't know that I'm an ADHDer, and that has been a form of protection for so long. And I've kept that up within this platform even. And I just talked about that in a few minutes ago, but it's something that doesn't serve me at this point in my life. Holding back and not being as authentic with my audience, I found throughout lives that you all actually want to see and want to hear more about me and who I am. And I feel like I'm finally in a place where I'm ready to give that more and to share that more, because to be quite honest, when I was going through so much trauma through 2024 and into 2025, it was just like almost overwhelming for me to give up more of myself, even though it was in a community that I fully trusted and fully loved. Mind you, I love being able to come on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, all of my different platforms and talk about my passion, which is birds. But sometimes I disconnect myself from the birds. And sometimes I say like, okay, birds can stay over here and I can stay over here. And genuinely, I'm finding that that's not something that's fair for me to do for myself. And it's not even fair for me to do for you as a listener. So I appreciate you all and being patient with me and understanding. For a lot of you, I have told you some bits and pieces of what it is that I've been going through and how that has manifested in my content. And I want to share even more. So that's what this podcast episode is all about, sharing my queer identity, sharing how that manifests for me in my day-to-day. To be quite honest, I have not explored my queer identity at all. And that has been a function of genuine fear. I've been really afraid that if I lean into my identity as a queer person, then choosing one or the other, does that define me? Does that say, like, if I start dating a woman, or if I start dating a man, or if I start dating someone who is non-binary, does that mean that that is now my identity and now all that people see me as? that genuinely upsets me to think about, because I know, like, again, it's this whole concept of me being multifaceted and not having to fit into a box. I don't want to be fit into a box. I think that is just a constant thing that I keep running up against. So I have literally avoided dating, seeing, hanging out with fellow queer people because it has scared me. But I don't want it to be something that scares me anymore. I want it to be something that actually empowers me and embracing my identity and embracing what it is that I want to be in terms of the spaces that I'm entering. So I don't know, more to come obviously on this, but that's where I am at right now. I'm a little bit stuck in it. And to be honest, I haven't really enjoyed the experience of dating. Um, it's been what it is, I suppose. It hasn't been like the most amazing thing ever. Um, and so I haven't really been exploring, and I haven't really been seeing what's out there and what works for me and what I like, and all these things that you would think come with being single, you know? Um, but I just haven't. Um, so I think all in all, like it's been an interesting experience over the past year coming into this identity within myself, and almost having a period of time where I was like, no, you can only be pansexual when you're in a relationship, or you can only be bisexual at the time, was what I was thinking a few years ago in a relationship, because otherwise it's like not totally safe and you have to explore all of these different relationship dynamics. And what if I bring too much of like a masculine energy into a feminine relationship? And it's just this whole concept of like, what if I'm too much? Like, just in general, what if I am too much? And I think that that's been scary. That thought in general has been scary for me to sort of grapple with and to identify in myself. And I don't know, like, I think it's a work in progress, and I'll see where I am on the other side, or maybe even after June. You never know what a month just focused on your identity can do for you. So maybe it'll be different at the end of June, but we'll see. In the meantime, though, I want to share with you all a few birds that I think are queer AF. This is a completely new segment to add on to the vulnerability that I just shared with you all. For the first time ever, I'm diving deep into what my identities actually are in a podcast episode. I'm not avoiding naming them. Um, and I hope that this helps someone name something that you might have been avoiding too, because it's not easy to name what it is that you're going through. It's not easy to name your own experience, whether it be queer or whether it not. Like it's not easy. Anytime you are going outside of the norm to identify yourself with something, there is going to be a certain level of pushback, or a certain level of, maybe I'm going to lose subscribers after posting this. Maybe I'm going to lose some followers after posting this. But I know that I'm also going to get one step closer to the people who will appreciate me, who will cherish my content, who will get excited about birds, maybe not in the way that I do, but in a different way. Maybe you have a special interest that you've been dying to talk about and haven't talked about online or otherwise. Like, that is what this platform is for. This platform is to make people feel safe about coming together and sharing their special interests. We are unlocking our inner child, y'all, and embracing it along the way without fear, without holding back. I mean, I say without fear, but I just expelled like 4 fears onto you all, or shared 4 fears. It's not to say that they aren't going to be there. They're going to freaking be there. And that's kind of ultimately like the hardest part of all of this, doing it with the fear there. Because I'm sitting in front of you all. I don't know how calm I look. I don't know how relaxed I look, but I don't feel calm or relaxed internally. I actually feel quite scared. I feel scared about the editing of this episode. I feel scared about uploading this episode. I feel scared about the impact that this will have. But again, like I said earlier, every single time that I have shown up to this platform vulnerably, it has helped me significantly grow in myself, but I've also gotten amazing feedback from you all that you've appreciated that level of vulnerability. And so I'm doing it in part for me, but I'm also doing it in part for you all because I'm hopeful that my voice creates change. And you don't have to just be one thing. You don't have to just shutter off your identity or one singular identity just because you think that it'll be too much. You're not too much. You will never be too much. You are the perfect amount of much, and the people who love you, the people who appreciate you, the people who are excited by you are out there waiting for you, whether you find them today, whether you found them yesterday, whether you're going to find them tomorrow, they are out there for you. And you just have to keep going. You have to keep believing that your authenticity, that you being you, that you being as queer as you want to be queer, you being as neurodiverse, as autistic, as ADHD, and I say that in a weird way, but I more so just mean by embracing yourself, you will find your people. And it will feel natural and it will feel right and it'll feel so different when you find them and it'll feel so good. And I want to hear about what it sounds like, what it feels like when you find your people, because that, my friends, is the sweet sauce. Okay, I said I was going to share about some queer birds and then I got back into it, but I just love talking with you all. I appreciate the space that you are helping me create and participating and watching my videos and subscribing and following at any stage. I appreciate you so deeply. You have been a part of my journey. And whether or not you realize it, every single one of your follows and every single one of your subscribes has impacted me deeply in ways that I don't even have words for yet. So I love you. I want to talk about queer birds now. Our first queer bird is the barn swallow. Okay, I love a barn swallow more than any other girly, but I will say these baddies, and I've got a plush right here for those of you that are watching the video. What these birds look like is they're going to be a dark blue, think a royal blue on the top. They're going to be this like burnt orange on their neck, on their head, and then down into their belly, they're going to have more of a peach orange, similar to what you would see of an American robin. One characteristic that's super identifiable from our barn swallows is going to be their forked tail. Yes, that is right. You heard that correct, y'all. Their forked tail. So what does that mean? That means that their tail will come out into similar to, honestly, it doesn't even look like a regular fork. It looks like those forks. I think it's called like a steak fork where it has like two long points and you use it to like push into the ham, for example. If you're not a meat eater, I'm sorry, there's no other reference that I can think of. Just think of a fork with just two pokies and then long, much longer and wider. That's going to be this bird's tail. And they're absolutely beautiful, like I said earlier. In addition to their beautiful forked tail, they also have this amazing call that's like, so I'm going to play it here for y'all, so take a listen. That end part is my favorite when they like it just it's so satisfying to the ear. And y'all, these birds are migratory. That's not what makes them gay though. What makes them gay is their call. And that's why I layered it in this order, because I think they have just a silly little like sprouted fresh call where it's just like, I don't know. There's something very like twink vibes about it. You know what I'm saying? So this is the barn swallow, one of my favorite birds. Again, they are migratory, so they'll make their way all the way down into South America, where they will eat a bunch of food, live out half of the year because they cannot stand the cold, and then they will make their way back up, y'all. They are back in New York City as well. Where they will nest, raise their young, live in massive communities, and just generally enjoy the food that they have available to them, which to them are bunches of insects. Lots of insects. They're insect lovers. So that's our first bird, and that is the barn swallow. Our next bird that is gay AF is going to be our hummingbird, or hummingbirds in general. So your grandparents, my grandparents, they all got it wrong. Hummingbirds, super gay. Here's why. Their colors, okay? There are very, very, very few birds that have the array of colors that hummingbirds have. I mean, you can have a black-chinned hummingbird, a ruby-throated hummingbird, which I'm sorry, naming it ruby, that's like one of the most queer things ever, you know? It is kind of iconic that they named it that. That is the ruby-throated hummingbird. And get this, the males and the females look different, okay? The males have to try like 10 times harder to be absolutely stunning and beautiful. That part is a little bit less gay, let's say. Haha, that was a rhyme. So yeah, that's hummingbirds. There are many others. So there's the Anna's hummingbird, which honestly look kind of similar to the ruby-throated hummingbird, but their red is gonna wrap all the way around their head instead. Y'all, I'm on a roll. What is going on? Okay, and then there's Rivioli's hummingbird. That's going to be an all orange hummingbird. I actually saw that when I was in, I think it was Vancouver. They're beautiful, but then you're going from these like green birds to these orange birds. I mean, what is going on? Okay. There's an array. And get this, y'all, they can only be found in North and South America. You can't even find a freaking hummingbird in Europe, okay? So that's like very location specific. That's very choosy. That's queer. Okay. Now that we've established that our hummingbirds and our barn swallows are super, super, super queer, our third grouping of birds that are super queer are birds that are sexually dimorphic. And some of the hummingbirds that I just listed are good examples of sexual dimorphism. If you're not familiar with what sexual dimorphism is it's basically when birds have a different color depending on their particular sex. So the males will be a light green all over. And then, for example, with the ruby-throated hummingbird, they'll have a red throat or a ruby-colored throat, and the females will be just more of a, sorry y'all, I have the hiccups, a duller green all over and into her back, and then her throat will be more of a white green. So you asked me, Steph, why is well, okay, so I gave the hummingbirds example of sexual dimorphism. Let's talk about another species that has sexual dimorphism and a species that doesn't, okay? So let's go northern cardinal, right? Northern cardinal. They are all red birds, the males in particular, bright, bright, bright red, almost like a piercing. And they do this like really sharp whistle. It's like I can't do it because I'm obviously not a northern cardinal, but it's just this really, if you were to imagine like a really sharp whistle, that is what the northern cardinal call is going to be. And then you have the female who's a lighter gray all over. She'll have like bright red on her wingtips. She's still going to have that like characteristic bright orange beak. And she's going to have like little bits and pieces of red down into her tail feathers as well. What I will say, these two birds, obviously male and female, they look significantly different from one another, right? What do we see around Christmas time when we go to stores and there are northern cardinals, specifically the males? We see distributors pairing male, 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 male. Little do they know that those birds are all males and they just made a gay Christmas, okay? They just created the foraging grounds for the most perfect of gay festivities. And I, for one, think it's kind of iconic that we used to call gay happy, right? To be very gay was to be very happy. So now we have gay festivities. Should we double the gay? Is that a double positive that we're looking at now? A gay festivities as it relates to the Northern Cardinal? I don't know. I'm just throwing these thoughts and opinions out. I want to see what you all think from them. However, that is where I'm landing thus far. So that is the Northern Cardinal. Now you're like, Steph, what about a non-sexually dimorphic bird? What makes them different from the sexually dimorphic birds? Okay, so let's dive into a bird that's not sexually dimorphic. For example, the blue jay, right? The a-holes of the sky. They're corvids, So does that mean that they're nice? Not in particular, you know, and to be fair, they don't necessarily have to be, right? They are very, very, very loud birds. They're very vocal. They will force themselves in your face if you ever see one because you can literally hear it before you see it. They're like their screeches are just so, so, so loud. When you look at them though, the males and the females are actually going to look the exact same. The only way that you can tell or a blue jay's sex is by literally taking that bird and flipping it over and taking a look at their underparts. Okay, taking a look at their cloacas. I believe that that's where we'd be able to tell the differences. So that's one way. The other way is via behavior. So these birds are super, super just like loud, vocal. We know that already, but they're also slightly disruptive to each other. So right now it's nesting season and it is a really bad time for birds to be in each other's areas. And so blue jays especially will be incredibly, incredibly territorial and they'll push out other birds just for the funsies of it all. And so if you're out and like seeing a blue jay, then I really recommend paying attention to who it is harassing. Now, oftentimes you'll see it harassing a hawk or another crow. Very rarely, however, outside of the nesting season, this is more the case. Very rarely will you see it attacking another blue jay, but more often than not, it will be a male. The only way, again, that we can know that for sure is by flipping the bird over. So this is just speculation at this point, but blue jays, not sexually dimorphic. So we have two birds, blue jays, the loud, vocal, just, I am here, giving me my territory, I claim this. That is the blue jay, right? And what can we compare that to? Potentially, maybe non-queer people, right? Just in like taking up space, like you'll never hear a queer person talking about how obsessed they are with their partner. At least I haven't. Whereas I have heard others in non-queer spaces talk only about their partners for the whole entire time. That has been hard as a newly single person, getting used to people talking about their partners like for nonstop and also filtering out those people who literally cannot stop talking about their partner or men in general, because most often I'm like at dinners with women and just like meeting friends. Yeah, all that to say, those are the blue jays. I would presume they are the non-queer, and then the queer are the ones that are making the gay Christmas the northern cardinal. That is my bid for the queer birds that you could come across. So just to sum all of those birds up, we had the barn swallow, we had the hummingbirds, which y'all, there's honestly, I don't even think that there's a queerer bird than a hummingbird. Like, people are obsessed with them for their beauty, but also they're queer. So if you're looking for a bird to claim this queer season, this queer month, this June of Pride, I beckon forth a hummingbird for your choosing. Now, if you were to ask me how many hummingbirds are there, I'm going to tell you there's a freaking lot. There's a lot of hummingbirds that you can choose from. And maybe I'll do another episode on all about hummingbirds. But if you want to hear about a particular hummingbird, throw it down in the comments because I will talk about it and I will share about that hummingbird. It is Queer Month, so it's only fair and only just and only right to do so. And lastly, the last category was sexually dimorphic birds and how they are queer. So this has been another episode of Steph, That Quirky Bird Girl. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching in. I am Steph, That Quirky Bird Girl. I'm over on YouTube and TikTok as Learn About Birds, and I cannot help myself yapping away about them. I love it so much. And I appreciate every single one of you who has created the space for me to be vulnerable about my identity, about birds on this app, because it has just expanded into so much more. I've been able to share about autism, about my queer identity, and who knows what I'll be sharing over the next few months. I mean, my life is constantly, it seems to be evolving. And I just appreciate so deeply y'all's support, your care, your kindness, everything that you have offered forward. And I cannot wait to continue growing, to continue sharing. One day I will have a TV show, y'all, and you will be tuning in to watch it, and I will be bringing my whole darndy self to it because That's what we do on this channel. I'm getting closer to it every single day. Hit that subscribe button and I will see. Oh, also, y'all, merch is live. So if you have not checked out the link, I dropped the link in my bio. So be sure to get your pin today. I am wearing it here on my jacket, That Quirky Bird Girl. Can you hear it? It is hard metal, y'all. I spent so much time designing and figuring out what I wanted these pins to look exactly like because I wanted them to represent the brand and the mission. And I feel like they finally do. The bird is the Eurasian oyster catcher, which arguably could have been included in this episode as well. But it was one of my very first paintings, a bird that I saw for one of the very first trips that I took to go see birds. And they're just absolutely stunning. And behind them is a water overlay, and this was just a really fun bird to draw, and it was really special. Get yours today. The link is in my bio. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you very, very soon. Love you. Bye.